Welcome back to another episode of Sean and Ed's Do Baseball. I'm Sean.
And I'm Ed.
And we're bringing you the baseball history.
That's right, we're a bi-weekly baseball history podcast where the story catcher doesn't know what the story pitcher is on the mound throwing them.
That's right, and you got a playoff game to pitch today.
Yes, today I will be on the mound throwing what I hope is a gem.
Yeah. It's pretty... We'll see. Apparently there's a lot of baseball in this one, Edsy.
Yeah, this is a very baseball-y one.
It's a baseball one. So if you tuned in here for not baseball,
get out of here. Because we got a lot of breakdowns happening here in this one.
And we got a number of things going on. First of all, we're ordering some pizzas right now. Doing a few episodes today. But Edsy, before we order pizzas and start the podcast, where can people find us?
You can find us on Twitter at Doing Baseball and on Instagram and TikTok at Doing.Baseball. And, of course, you found us somewhere where you're listening, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I think Amazon Music, even Podbean itself. If you could give us a rating or review in any of those platforms, we greatly appreciate it. It gives us a bit of a bump. And, of course, thanks for listening.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much to our sponsor, and that is Two Loons Brewing. Check out Two Loons Brewing at twoloonsbrewing.com. They got a lager. They got an IPA. They got lots of stuff on the go. I'm even on their Instagram right now, which is, I believe, just Two Loons Brewing. It's fantastic. Give them a follow, and of course, enjoy responsibly.
And please be of legal drinking age.
There you go. Okay, Edsy, so you're ready for this playoff edition of Sean and Ed's Do Baseball.
Finally settled in on a story, and you might have inspired me a little bit, because, Sean, last time we got together to talk about baseball history, you told me the great story of Mike Sergio and his dramatically dangerous entrance into Game 6 of the 1986 World Series that was designed to give his favorite team, the Mets, a morale boost which would propel them to victory over the leading Boston Red Sox.
That's true.
That's a great story, by the way.
It was a great story. Thank you.
Just a quick aside, just go back and listen to that episode, because it's like a crazy story of breaking some laws and protecting your friends.
Absolutely.
The story I'm going to tell today, though, Sean, doesn't have the same extreme measures taken by a fan to inspire their favorite team, but it does once again involve the Mets.
All right.
And it does include the fact that, as always, you can make your way down to the ballpark on any given day and see something that nobody has seen in many years or even ever before.
That's the best part about baseball.
Yeah. Okay, so once again, it's October, and as mentioned, we try to keep our focus on playoff stories for this month, and this will be no different. Last time, we left off the episode with some playoff predictions for this season.
Yeah, we're both wrong, probably.
Yes, terribly wrong, and I'm mentioning now that for all the fans of the teams that... I predicted would win. I would personally like to apologize for putting the kiss of death on those teams. But anyways, I digress. But it's important because the team that I put the kiss of death on the most, which was the Braves, is one of the teams I mentioned today. Because today I'm going to talk about one of the most interesting series in somewhat recent baseball history.
Oh.
A meeting between two bitter rivals in the 1999 National League Championship Series.
That is fucking sick.
Okay.
All right.
Ready?
All right. I'm ready.
So we're going to get into it here. By this point, at the end of the decade, the Atlanta Braves had long established themselves as, we know them as the team of the 90s.
They were boring how good they were in the 90s.
Yes. People were, as you say, getting bored by them at this point. The Braves had captured their 8th consecutive division title with a league best 103-59 record in 1999. Third baseman Chipper Jones was the NL MVP with a 319 batting average, 45 home runs, and 110 RBIs. Not only had the Braves won their 8th straight division, but they were also competing in their 8th consecutive league championship series. And who knows if it may or may not have been their 9th if, 1994 got to complete. I'm sure Expos fans would say different, but
yeah.
Anyway, just quickly throw that in there. The Braves.
Yes. There is that 1994 factor. That is, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, the Braves were heavily favored against the wild card Mets, who had stumbled through the latter days of the season and into the postseason. But before we get to that, let's just rewind a little bit to last couple weeks of the year. Late in the year, the Mets trailed the Braves in the NL East by only 1 game as they entered a 3-game series on September 21st in Atlanta at Turner Field. The Mets team had been biting at the heels of the Braves all season long, but unfortunately for them, Atlanta swept the 3-game series largely thanks to Chipper, who hit 4 home runs and drove in 7 of the 13 runs that the Braves scored.
Yeah, that dude was a beast.
Yeah, especially 1999. But
but I mean, God, 4 home runs in a series.
Mm-hmm. For the season, as mentioned, he hit 319 with a .510 on-base percentage and a 1,000 slugging percentage and 7 home runs.
A 1,000 slugging percentage? You mean OPS?
No, slugging percentage with 7 home runs against the Mets specifically.
I was like, Jesus. I was like,
sorry.
I heard about this?
I sort of said, as mentioned before, not realizing the average was not the same. Was it?
Well.
Yes, no, it was.
Yeah, that was my poor listening
anyway.
skills. Poor listening skills.
Okay. The Braves won the first game 2-1, and this would begin a dismal stretch for the Mets to wind down September, where they would drop 8 of the final 9 games of the month.
Oof.
Including the final contest of the season, which was, of the month. Final contest of the month, an 11-inning matchup that they dropped to the Braves 4-3. Thinking they had buried the Mets, the Braves had closed out their season with another division title and were poised to enter the playoffs and leave the Mets behind, or so they thought. Chipper Jones was quoted as saying that the win over the rival Mets was, quote, the next best thing to a World Series win.
I
think he's just rubbing it in their face.
Yeah, true. That's true. It's definitely some chalkboard or whatever.
Yeah, it's
some material that can be used if things end up blowing up in your face.
Yes. And he also said that now all the Mets fans can go home and put their Yankees shit on.
I should have let you finish that one. Yeah, he really was just like, oh yeah, it feels great, but by the way, your fans aren't real.
Yeah.
Just brutal.
Just twisting the knife. Man.
Oh, absolutely.
Braves closer John Rocker was also quoted as saying he hated the Mets and, quote, how many times do we have to beat them before their fans will shut up?
You're going to have to play them again next year, John.
Yeah.
It's a scheduled thing.
Yeah. It's your career. It's your chosen career, my friend.
Every year.
Yeah, just quickly mention the Braves were 9-3 against the Mets that year.
I mean, that's good. It's not like I don't know. But yes, the way it specifically Chipper played against them, I guess he can talk.
Yeah. The Mets had won the previous day 9-2. Al Leiter claiming the victory over Greg Maddux as the New York took their only W in the final days of September. This was the second last day of the season. And this victory would turn out to be important, as all victories are, I guess, because it would keep the Mets' hopes alive in 1999. All but eliminated from contention, and now trailing the Cincinnati Reds for the National League wildcard spot by 2 games, the Reds actually entered this final series of the season in Milwaukee, and they were tied for the Central Division lead with Houston.
Okay.
So it was going to be one of those 2 teams at this point of the season.
Yeah.
The Mets headed home to Shea for the final series of the season against the visiting Pittsburgh Pirates. So the Mets were 93-66, and the Reds were 95-64. In Game 1 at Shea, the Mets took a walk-off victory from the Buccos. After tying the game at 2 in the bottom of the 8th, the Mets secured the win in the 11th when Sean Dunston led off with a pinch-hit single that split the middle infield. A sac bunt by Melvin Mora sent Dunston over to second. Pittsburgh pitcher Scott Sauerbeck then intentionally walked Edgardo Alfonso to set up the double play, but John Olerud came up and hit a slow grounder to first, which first baseman Kevin Young picked up for the unassisted out, the only out on the play, as Dunston and Alfonso moved up to third and second base respectively.
So second, third, 2 out.
Yes. Mike Piazza then stepped to the plate with 2 out, but he too was walked to set up a force at all bases for Robin Ventura. Ventura singled to center on a 1-1 count to score Dunston and another victory for the Mets. So now they're 94-66.
All right.
Okay. Over in Milwaukee, the Reds entered the game as mentioned tied with the Astros for the division lead, while the lowly Brewers, who were second last in the division, looked to play spoiler. The Reds were out to a 3-0 lead after the fourth, fueled by a Mike Cameron deep drive that scored Pokey Reese in the top of the third, and a fourth inning solo shot by Greg Vaughn. The Brewers clawed back with a run of their own in the bottom of the sixth, and finally tied it up in the eighth on a 2-run single off Scott Williamson by Jeff Cirillo that scored Jose Valentine and Mark Loretta. Reds closer Danny Graves kept the Brew Crew at bay in the ninth, but in the 10th, Scott Sullivan opened the frame by hitting Loretta. He settled in, getting the next two batters, Cirillo on a pop-out in foul territory and Jeremy Burnitz by strikeout, but Sullivan's luck would run out as Kevin Barker singled to left,
My God.
moving Loretta to third, who then scored for the Brewers' victory on a single to center by Ronnie Belliard.
The angry man on the radio?
Yeah, that's right. The angry Southern man on the radio.
Oh, he's more, yeah, I guess Virginia. Just, I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
And also, Pokey Reese, Elgardo Alfonso, just so many amazing 90s baseball names.
Yeah, yeah. And Danny Graves as well. I just want to quickly mention is, I believe if my memory serves me right, the only player ever to play in Major League Baseball born in Vietnam.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would expect you to know that, so I'm going to take it.
I think that's the fact about him that I remember. I could be incorrect, but anyway, carrying on. So the Reds are now 95-65.
Yeah.
The Mets took the next contest in game 161 of the season as they beat the Pirates quite handily 7-0 to improve their record to 95-66.
So no drama there. They just took care of business.
Yes. And the Reds continued their short slide, dropping another game to the Brewers, this time 10-6. Both clubs entered the final game of the season with the same record. On the final day of the season, the Mets sent veteran pitcher and postseason hero for the Dodgers over a decade earlier, Oral Hershiser, to the mound. I didn't realize when I was researching the story, I didn't realize that he had stuck around for that long, but apparently he did.
That's one of those jerseys that I wouldn't, like, if I saw somebody wearing an Oral Hershiser's Mets jersey,
I would assume it's someone else.
Yeah, I'd be like, yeah, who?
Yeah, that was a prospect somebody liked that didn't pan out.
There's no way. The guy from the Dodgers and Cleveland?
Yeah. Hershiser walked the first batter, Al Martin, who scored on a single to center field by Kevin Young just 4 batters later, but Oral settled in for a respectable 5 1/3 innings. The Mets pulled even in the fourth on a Darryl Hamilton double that scored John Olerud, and the score was tied 1-1. Hershiser got the first batter, Chris Benson, to ground out in the sixth, but surrendered a double to Al Martin before being lifted for Dennis Cook and Pat Mahomes, who finished off the frame. And finally, friend of the show, Turk Wendell, held the Pirates off the board for another 2 2/3 innings himself before Armando Benitez finished off the ninth. Through 8.5 innings, the Pirates and Mets were still tied at 1, but the Mets had one more chance. Greg Hansel replaced Jason Christensen on the Pirates mound, and the Mets pitch hit Bobby Bonilla.
I think so. He's the most famous man of all time.
Yeah.
Come on, I don't know.
I don't know how to pronounce
Bobby
his name.
Bonilla.
Bobby Bonilla, that sounds right to
I'll
me.
look
For
it up.
Shane Halter in the 9th spot to lead off the inning. Bonilla, however, would ground out to first, 1 away. Melvin Mora pinch ran for Ricky Henderson in the 7th and came to the plate for his first at-bat of the game and singled to right field. Edgardo Alfonso then singled himself, which advanced Mora to third base for once again John Olerud.
All right. Holy.
Olerud worked the count for a walk, which chased Christensen from the game. The Buccos called upon Brad Klontz to close out the inning and extend the game, but it would be no easy task as Mike Piazza stepped to the plate. Klontz threw just one pitch, a wild one, which allowed Mora to score to win the game.
Whoa.
So they win on a walk-off wild pitch.
Yeah, to
Okay.
end the season.
Yeah, to end the season.
And also, Baseball Reference says it's Bonilla.
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 Okay, Bobby Bonilla.
Bonilla. The knee is emphasized.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what we're
Hard
going for.
knee.
Yeah, that's what we're going for the rest of this one. With the Cincinnati Reds loss now, the Mets would clinch a playoff berth as the wild card team, but the Reds wouldn't allow it to be that easy.
Damn.
They jumped out to a 5-0 lead in the 3rd inning and salvaged the single victory 7-1 and effectively their season after a 7-hour rain delay.
Oh my God. Well, that's at the end of the season, right?
Yeah, they had to wait it out.
Yeah.
They couldn't cancel it at that point because it meant something.
I mean, that's the best part about the last week of the season sometimes is you do get those games that go deep into the night because there's no more off days.
Like, well, do you want to forfeit and your season's over?
Yeah, exactly.
7-hour rain delay. The Reds and Mets finished with identical records of 96 and 66 and would have to play a tiebreaker game 163, just as the Cubs and Giants had done the previous season.
Okay. So it's for the wild card spot, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So in the big matchup, the Mets were starting veteran Al Leiter on the mound against Steve Paris, 31-year-old hurler who had a career year with the Reds, going 11-4 with a 3.50 ERA in 128 and 2/3 innings pitched. So, not a huge body of work, but pretty good.
Pretty good. I remember that guy.
It's the 90s, so a 3.50 ERA is probably pretty respectable.
That's very good.
The luck would run out for Paris, though, as the Mets put up 2 runs in the first and then another in the third before Steve was lifted after 2 2/3 innings. The Mets would add another run each in the 5th and 6th, but it wouldn't even matter as the Reds failed to score a single run, and their season concluded with a 5-0 loss to the New York Mets, who were crowned wildcard champs, and handed a punch ticket for the NLDS against the Arizona Diamondbacks,
Oh.
who had won 100 games and the West Division in just their 2nd season of existence.
Okay, you threw me a curveball there. I was expecting this to be the Atlanta matchup.
No,
that
not
I
yet.
was
Not
anticipating
yet.
from Chipper Jones'
no,
big
sorry.
fucking mouth.
Yeah, no, not yet. We're still building towards that.
All right.
The Mets took Game 1 8-4 in a rare playoff victory over Randy Johnson. The Diamondbacks avenged the loss with a 7-1 statement victory in Game 2. In Game 3, Arizona blew a couple early opportunities to score, and they found themselves down 3-0 after 3. They made it interesting and pulled within 1 in the 5th, but the Mets blew it open in the 6th with 6 runs, and they never looked back, winning the game 9-2. So they're up 2-1. In the potential clinch in Game 4, New York once again called upon Al Leiter. Another very important start for Al. The game would remain scoreless until the bottom of the 4th when Edgardo Alfonso's leadoff home run made it 1-0 Mets. Greg Colburn homered for Arizona to tie the game in the 5th. Then Agbayani's RBI double with 2 on made it 2-1 Mets. In the 8th, Leiter allowed a 2-out walk followed by a single, at which point he was replaced by Armando Benitez, who gave up a 2-run double to Jay Bell that gave the Diamondbacks the lead. The Mets battled back, though, and tied the game in the bottom half when Alfonso drew a leadoff walk off Greg Olson, moved to third on an error, and scored on a sac fly by Roger Cedeno off Greg Swindell. As the game moved to extra innings, Reliever John Franco shut the Diamondbacks down 1-2-3, and finally the Mets would win the series when backup catcher Todd Pratt, who was rarely used and was only in the game because Piazza had injured his thumb, hit a home run to center field off Matt Manti, effectively setting up the NLCS matchup with the shit-talking Braves, who had finished off the Astros also in Game 4, 7-5, winning 3 straight after dropping Game 1, 6-1 against Houston.
Well, all right.
So now we're
we're cooking.
Now I breezed through that series kind of quickly for you. I tried
was
to.
like,
Yeah.
wow. No, and amazing. I remember that Arizona team coming up, and I don't recall who I was cheering for in that series, but I remember it being amazing that Arizona was there. And fuck man, Al Leiter's like a Mets legend, and I knew that, but because I'm so Toronto oriented, like I didn't.
You think of him as Blister Al?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always get him confused with Todd Stottlemyre too for some stupid reason, but
That's weird.
I know, but at the same point, I remember him going to Florida, and I remember him being a Met for a couple of years. But like, holy shit, he was really a Met for a long time, like pretty much his whole 30s.
Yeah, and used in some big games here.
Well,
in this
absolutely.
season.
No, you keep
In this
coming
play.
back to Leiter, and no, one of my favorites for sure. But
We're
he was
going to
a
come
lefty.
back to Al again.
Oh, I am absolutely sure of that.
This marked, as mentioned, the Braves' record 8th straight appearance in the NLCS. The Astros this year, by the way, have made 7 straight. I mean ALCSs, but...
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
While the Mets advanced to the league championship for the first time since 1988, it was the second time that the Mets and the Braves met in the NLCS ever. The first time being in the first National League Championship Series back in 1969, when the Miracle Mets swept the then best-of-5 series in 3 straight games.
Yes, that was a best-of-5 series. For some reason, I thought you were saying it was a best-of-9 and they had to win.
No.
They had to win 5.
And they won 5 straight.
Yeah, they won 5 straight.
Yes. No.
So here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. And also, can I order this pizza?
Yeah, order the pizza, man.
It's the pizza's ordered.
Okay, before the series began, Mets manager Bobby Valentine appeared to use the earlier comments by Jones as motivation against the Braves, saying, quote, "They better be ready to play some ghosts because we were dead and buried 2 weeks ago."
That's a good quote.
Yeah.
We're gonna haunt you.
Yeah.
Like boo. In
Hear the
October.
chains?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's spooky month. Spooky season. Spooky season's upon us.
You better be ready
We're the
to play.
ghosty Mets.
We're gonna kill ourselves, and then our bodies are gonna beat you.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry.
It's fucked up.
All right.
Okay, Game 1. The series began with Game 1 on October 12th, 1999 at Turner Field in Atlanta. The Braves answered Valentine with a 4-2 victory over his Mets. They struck first in the first off starter Masoto Yoshi Masoto. I think I got that backwards. When Gerald Williams hit a leadoff single, stole second, and scored on Brett Boone's single. The Mets tied it in the fourth on Mike Piazza's ground out with runners on first and third. The Braves retook the lead when Walt Weiss doubled to lead off the fifth, moved to third on a sacrifice bunt, and scored on Williams' single. Eddie Perez solo shot in the sixth off Pat Mahomes made it 3-1 Braves. Turk Wendell walked Andrew Jones to lead off the eighth. Jones then moved to second on a sacrifice bunt and scored on Weiss's single. Greg Maddux tossed 7 solid innings, and John Rocker recorded the final 4 outs for the save to seal Atlanta's 4th straight win.
All right.
In the playoffs.
In the playoffs. I was going to say, they're only up 1-0,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I didn't miss too much when I was ordering the pizza.
No.
So Kenny Powers got the save. Schmaltz got the win.
Yes, that's
1-0.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. The next afternoon, in Game 2, the Mets struck first in the second inning on Roger Cedeno's RBI single that scored Robin Ventura from second, then made it 2-0 on Melvin Mora's home run in the fifth. In the sixth, Chipper Jones walked before Brian Jordan's home run tied the game. Andrew Jones then singled, and Eddie Perez hit a home run off Mets starter Kenny Rogers to put the Braves up 4-2. He was raised on the dairy, bitch. The Mets cut the lead to 4-3 in the 8th when Mora reached on Chipper Jones's error and scored on Edgardo Alfonso's double to center field. John Rocker came in to relieve starter Kevin Millwood and ended the inning without any more damage, but after pitching 1 1/3 innings in Game 1, manager Bobby Cox turned to John Smoltz for the 9th, who promptly retired the Mets in order for the save, giving the Braves a 2-0 series lead.
Okay, so they took care of business.
Yep.
Went. It was in Atlanta.
It was in Atlanta. Took care of business at home.
Down in Dixie, Atlanta just took care.
Yeah.
So Mets can answer back.
Well, let's find out. In the 3rd game of the series, and the first one back at Shea Stadium, Tom Glavine pitched a gem in 7 shutout innings as the Braves edged the Mets 1-0.
No, they did not. No, okay, so that was
a nice thought you had.
I mean,
there,
they didn't only scored 1 run.
Yeah, it was better.
It was better. Yeah, it was certainly better.
So, as I say, they edged the Mets 1-0 and thus took a commanding 3-0 lead in the NLCS. The only run of the game scored in the first inning without a base hit. The leadoff runner, Gerald Williams, took a base on balls and then advanced to second on a botched throw by Al Leiter on a fielder's choice hit by Brett Boone. Chipper popped out, and then Williams and Boone completed the double steal and then advanced 1 base each on a throwing error by Piazza, allowing Williams to score and Boone to reach second. So the Mets actually out-hit the Braves 7-3 in this 1-0 loss.
And they lost 1-0 on a guy scoring on like a walk and an error.
Yeah. On an errant throw by Piazza. So like Piazza's thumb injury is starting to show. It's starting to show a little bit.
He's only playing because it's the playoffs, basically, and
pretty much.
And it's not working. Well, I mean, you'd hope his bat would make up for the 1 run, but in this case, it does not.
It doesn't. So as we mentioned, the Braves take a 3-0 commanding lead in the series.
It's over.
It seems to be over.
It's over.
The Mets struck first in Game 4 on John Olerud's home run in the 6th off of Braves starter John Smoltz. So go scoreless until the 6th.
How much is Smoltz pitching? I forgot about this guy.
Yeah. Schmaltz is like the Bumgarner of like that time.
I know, and that's why he sits in the the reporter or whatever the
press box,
the broadcast booth, and is like, in my day, everybody threw 800 innings.
Yeah,
just you.
No, just you, John.
And Nolan Ryan. That was
it. Yeah. John Smoltz put back-to-back leadoff home runs by Brian Jordan and Ryan Klesko off Mets starter Rick Reed put the Braves up 2-1. The Braves were 4 outs from a series sweep and their 5th trip to the World Series in the 1990s when they called on John Rocker, who had treated the Mets and their fans with similar disdain during the season. With 2 on, the left-handed closer saved 5 games against New York during the regular season and 2 in this series. During the season, he had said he hated the Mets, and prior to the showdown, wondered how many times the Braves, as I mentioned, would have to beat them to make their fans shut up.
Which is, once again, John, you're going to keep playing them.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They'll probably never shut up.
They will never. That is how sports works.
Yeah.
That is how, I don't think there's ever been a team that's just like,
well, John doesn't like it, so...
I guess we'll shut up now.
Yeah. In a pivotal at-bat, Allrood got the better of Rocker. After a double steal, Allrood's 2-run single put the Mets up 3-2, and Armando Benitez retired the Braves in order in the 9th to keep New York in the NLCS.
All right, 3-1.
3-1. The next afternoon, shortly after 4 p.m., Mets starter Masato Yoshi took the mound in Game 4 against Braves starter Greg Maddux. The Mets took an early 2-0 lead in the bottom of the first inning as John Allrood hit his second home run in as many days after Ricky Henderson reached first on an infield single to short.
Okay, once again.
A game of legends.
Yeah. No,
Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, didn't expect Ricky to show up there either, but Johnny O, I knew Johnny O was on the Mets at this time, and he's raking in this series and keeping them, it sounds like he's single-handedly keeping the Mets in this.
He keeps coming up in the big spot and doing it as he does.
Yeah.
The lead lasted into the fourth when Atlanta struck with back-to-back doubles by Brett Boone and Chipper Jones, eventually tying it up at 2 when Brian Jordan singled home Jones. Mets manager Bobby Valentine removed Yoshi from the game in favor of Oral Hershiser, which began a slew of pitching changes that emptied the Mets bullpen by the game's end, relying on starter Kenny Rogers and rookie Octavio Dotel for key innings as well.
What? How was Octavio Dotel pitching in 1999?
Well, it says right here on this card that he was.
I refuse to believe that.
I'm pretty sure he was a rookie.
No, you just said it. That was in the sentence.
Oh, yeah, it says right there, and rookie. Yeah, of course, yeah.
But I still refuse to believe. It's like, anyways, yeah, the disparity.
They talk about in the broadcast about how raw he is and how he, like, really just has the fastball.
Oh, you were just watching all of these games, I guess.
Yes.
Writing it down as it goes. Yeah. Ground ball, second base.
Yeah. And going back to the play-by-plays on, anyway.
You had to cut a lot out of this.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. The Mets used a postseason record 9 pitchers in the game.
Okay.
So really deep into the bullpen. They used 2 starters.
yeah, I guess.
The game continued well into the night, accompanied by a steady rainfall, which wasn't heavy enough to delay the game, apparently. Neither team was able to break through for the tie-breaking run despite mounting threats back and forth. Atlanta eventually set a record in futility when they stranded 19 men on base over the course of the game.
19?
19. Hear that, Blue Jays fans?
Yeah. 19, you say? That would be a frustrating night, to say the least, to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Most notably in the 13th inning, with 2 out and Keith Lockhart on first base, Chipper batting, with Lockhart running, Jones laced a pitch off Dotel into the right field corner for a double, but the ball was cut off by Melvin Mora before it reached the wall, and Mora's strong relay throw via Edgardo Alfonso cut down Lockhart at the plate and ended the inning.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I love Edgardo Alfonso coming up here. One of my favorite Mets growing up, simply because of the name as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great 90s.
Great. No, he was fantastic. If you want to look up guys that were great for a couple years,
Edgardo Alfonso. Check out.
I've tried to look him up, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm having trouble.
Okay. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but anyway.
I can't spell his first name. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can't.
I'm not going to tell you right now. John Rocker entered the game in the bottom of the 13th inning to a loud chorus of boos and several projectiles hurled in his direction, which maybe they were gifts because it was his 25th birthday.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was just the people of New York being like, "Oh, we give up. Here's a beer."
Here's a half a beer, you bastard. Happy birthday.
You beat us finally, John Rocker.
If you can't beat him, join him. So he retired 4 batters through 1 1/3 innings pitch, including a strikeout of Mike Piazza. When he was taken out, Rocker mocked the Shea Stadium fans by pretending to boo them and yelled at fans sitting around the Atlanta dugout as he left the field.
Yep.
Sounds about right.
How to win friends and influence people.
Yeah, by John Rocker.
Yeah.
Baseball edition. In the top of the 15th, Walt Weiss led off for the Braves with a single to left off Dotel, and then stole second on the first pitch to Gerald Williams after pitcher Kevin McGlinchey struck out. The Mets season seemed like it may be over after Keith Lockhart tripled home Weiss for the run, which put the Braves ahead 3-2. However, McGlinchey could not hold the lead in the bottom half. Sean Dunston, who misplayed Lockhart's triple and was probably looking to redeem himself, hit a leadoff single after fighting off several pitches with a full count. Dunston then stole second base with pinch hitter Matt Franco batting. Franco eventually worked a walk, which was followed by Edgardo Alfonso laying down a sac bunt, which moved Dunston to third base. Olerud then came up and was given the intentional pass to load the bases.
Oh, shit.
Todd Pratt hit next.
Oh, my God. Yes.
You remember this?
I remember. Like, now I do.
And was again thrust into the spotlight with Piazza nursing a few injuries.
Mm-hmm.
McGlinchey walked Pratt on 5 pitches, scoring Dunston and tying the game. Mm-hmm. He then fell behind the slumping Robin Ventura, who was suffering a nagging calf injury and was without a hit in the series. At 9:47 p.m., McGlinchey hung a fastball on a 2-1 count, and Ventura launched it through the steady rain and over the wall in right center. Although Ventura had seen the ball clear the wall and was waving Pratt around the bases, Pratt tackled Ventura between first and second base, and most of the Mets team ran out on the field and mobbed Ventura in a wild scene. NBC's Bob Costas said on the air after Ventura's blast, quote, "I'll tell you, these Mets are Rasputin-like. You can't put them away. They will not die."
So did they get the runs, or did they they're like winning run, whatever?
Ventura never made it home, so official scorer Red Foley ruled the hit a single.
That's fucking amazing.
And that only Cedeno scored. But it was good enough, and the Mets were still alive.
I mean, yeah.
This apparently today is known as the Grand Slam single.
That is.
If you look that up, that's what you'll find this particular play.
I did not recall. I remember Todd Pratt coming up in a big spot, and then Robin Ventura getting a game-winning hit. I had no. I said I remembered it, but I did not remember.
It was the 99 NLCS,
that is
man.
Fucking wild. So he hit a grand slam and just never,
and didn't actually complete it. Yeah. Yeah. Mets manager Bobby Valentine said after the game, quote, "Robin Ventura played it out on one leg all day. There were times I thought about taking him out, but he told me, no, I'm okay. No, I can go. And now he comes up with the winning hit. It's got to be poetic justice. Justice indeed."
Just, I love it. Yeah, I say, how can you not love baseball? You got Rasputin and poetry and just,
How can you not be romantic?
They were hanging on by fucking Robin Ventura's calf thread at this moment.
Yeah. They're hanging on to every bit of magic that's in their sleeve. This is the Magic Mets of '99. So the Mets are still alive, and they're headed back to Turner Field in Atlanta for Game 6. Kevin Millwood got the start for Atlanta, while Al Leiter took the hill for the Mets on just 3 days rest.
My God. How many games are you going to pitch in this series? It's just Smoltz and Leiter. It's like the old days.
These two dudes. I can still pitch. Your arm is falling off, John. Your arm is disintegrated out. Yeah. I can pitch.
I can pitch. I'm a righty now.
Okay, so Al Leiter took the hill for the Mets, just 3 days rest. Al Leiter, who was not used to throwing on short rest, was lit up in the first inning.
Oh, that's why they don't do that as much anymore.
He hit Gerald Williams to lead off and then walked Brett Boone. Then catcher Mike Piazza's errant throw to third on Williams' base-stealing attempt allowed him to score, and Boone moved to third. So the broken thumb is just...
It's not good.
I kind of remember, I probably don't remember this series as well as you do, but I remember a playoff series at this time when Piazza's thumb was like a big topic of contention. This is probably the one.
This is, it has to be.
Yeah.
I'm also amazed that Brett Boone played on Atlanta, but I'm looking at his baseball reference, and apparently he did for one season.
And it was 1999.
It was.
Leiter then hit Chipper, and then Brian Jordan's RBI single promptly scored Boone. After Andrew Jones's fielder's choice loaded the bases, Eddie Perez's 2-run single to make it 4-0 knocked Leiter out of the game. Pat Mahomes relieved Leiter but gave up a sac fly to Brian Hunter, which made it 5-0 Braves. With Millwood looking sharp and the Mets' bats quiet, it appeared through the early innings to be an easy victory for Atlanta. Once again, the Mets had some magic up their sleeves, though, and Millwood began to tire in the 6th. Edgardo Alfonso led off with a double and was followed by a John Allrood single before Mike Piazza hit a sac fly to put the Mets on the board. After Robin Ventura doubled, Darryl Hamilton's single scored both Allrood and Ventura to cut the Braves' lead to 5-3.
Okay.
Atlanta got 2 runs back in their half of the 6th, though, courtesy of a Jose Hernandez 2-run single off Dennis Cook, who had just relieved a dismal Turk Wendell. think Turk Wendell loaded the bases or something. John Smoltz entered the game in relief for Atlanta in the 7th, and after Matt Franco and Ricky Henderson traded places with back-to-back doubles to lead off the inning, John Allrood singled home another run to make the score 7-5. This allowed Mets power-hitting injured catcher Mike Piazza to come to the plate, and Mike blasted a long home run to tie the score at 7-7.
Oh my God.
Bob Costas made the call, quote, tied at 7, hoping for game 7.
That's good. That's good.
It's not a bad call.
That's not a bad call. That's not a bad call. I was trying to wrap Rasputin into that, but my
They won't die.
He just won't die. We've poisoned him. We've shot him. Throw him in a river.
The game was now tied and in the hands of two completely exhausted bullpens. The Mets took an 8-7 lead in the 8th as Melvin Mora, who was also a rookie, by the way, singled home Benny Agbayani off Mike Remlinger. But then, with all the momentum going the Mets' way, the Braves rallied back once again against John Franco in the bottom of the 8th. With one out, Eddie Perez hit a single to left field. Otis Nixon came in to pinch run for Perez. Otis Nixon, just Braves legend.
He's been I don't know how old Otis Nixon was, but to me he was a solid 54 his entire career.
Yeah. He always looked ancient.
He could run, but he just looked like he'd been eating tobacco, not even chewing it, just eating it by the bushel for years.
Otis Nixon came in to pinch run for Perez and stole second base and then advanced to third when Piazza's throw went into center field. Brian Hunter cashed in the tying run with a single to center. In the 10th inning, the Mets regained the lead, and once again Melvin Mora was in the center of the action. His one-out single off John Rocker put Agbayani at third, which allowed him to score on Todd Pratt's sacrifice fly, but again, Atlanta rallied to tie in their half of the 10th, with Ozzie Guillen singling off Armando Benitez to send home Andrew Jones and to retie the game at 9.
Wow.
As we add another name to the people in this game.
Of course.
Kenny Rogers took the mound for the Mets in the bottom of the 11th, hoping to keep the Mets season alive, and gave up a leadoff double to Gerald Williams. This is where I keep you on the edge of your seat trick. Brett Boone sacrificed himself on a bunt, and that moved Williams to third with one out. Rogers then loaded the bases with intentional walks to Chipper Jones and Brian Jordan, which brought Braves star outfielder Andrew Jones to the plate. Jones was also 4 for 5 all time against Rogers.
And they didn't make a move.
No. It was between Rogers and Dotel, apparently. And they were like, let's go with Rogers because he can throw breaking balls.
I mean, okay, but Jones can hit Rogers breaking balls.
Yes. Yeah. They didn't make a move.
Yeah.
So the first pitch from Rogers was a low curveball in the dirt for ball 1. Seemingly hearing Bob Costas' critiques on the broadcast of his, quote, already horrid playoff career. Rogers stepped off the rubber before delivering his second pitch, which was another low breaking ball out of the zone that Jones watched. So we're 2-0. The third pitch was a high fastball that Jones dribbled slowly foul up the third baseline for the first strike, followed by another ball up and away as Rogers fell behind 3-1. With the bases loaded and their season on the line, Pratt called for another curveball, which Rogers hung, but way outside, so Jones left it, but Pratt framed the pitch well enough, I guess, for home plate umpire Jerry Crawford to call it strike 2 and a full count. If you watch this game back, it is so far outside. It is it is blatantly
4
ball
inches
4.
outside.
It is blatantly ball 4, and Pratt swings it back in, and it's not a great call, I'm gonna say.
It's not even great framing. It's just horrible.
Yeah. It's just let's see what happens if I give him one more chance here. But on the very next pitch, the magic for the Mets sadly ran out as Rogers sailed another pitch high and outside, and Jones drew the walk, scoring Williams and sealing Atlanta's fifth National League pennant of the 1990s. The Braves advanced to the World Series, but after being both physically and emotionally exhausted in this series against their bitter rivals, the Mets, they didn't put up much of a fight against the team across town, as they were swept by the Yankees in 4 games straight.
Well, all the Mets fans went over to the...
Yeah. They had twice as many fans behind them. So.
Hey, John, remember me?
Yeah.
I was at your birthday party.
Yeah. Just a little aside, the normally potent Braves offense batted just 200 in that World Series. So 13 times a postseason series has been won by a walk-off home run.
Yeah.
5 of those home runs have walked off the pennant-clinching game in a league championship. I found it surprisingly difficult to find how many LCSs were actually won by a walk-off hit, but I can say with pretty good confidence that the NLCS in 1999 was the only time that a league championship was won on a walk-off base on balls.
Damn.
Yep. So that's Jesus, I almost pulled the thing right off
You
the table at the end.
You're like,
there.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Just yank the recorder off
pizza
the
time.
table. It's over. It's pizza time. No, I mean, I can't believe that. Like that, I gotta go back and watch that pitch. Like, you know, or like, yeah, it is just like crazy to just like think about that rivalry. And for a while I thought the Mets were actually going to win it, but I realized it's the next year that the Mets
next year, the Mets break through and got their revenge. And this was kind of I think the Braves may have made it one more time, and actually I don't think they did. This might have been their last trip to I say it right here. This the Braves would not win another pennant until 2021.
If only you had looked something up.
Yeah, and when they eventually won the World Series.
Yeah, no, that was the Braves. That was the last Braves pennant. Yeah, because they never. Well, they won in '95 or whatever, right? Yeah. But it was just like they were the team throughout the '90s that just always was in the World Series since '93, '94, and.
Well,
just 97 or 98 or whatever.
Just to add to that, despite the fact that they didn't continue to participate in the NLCS, they still I think won the division for another 5 years after that.
Yeah, but their playoff luck just kind of ran out.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I wasn't expecting that one, and...
Yes, that was a little long-winded in the game breakdowns, but anyway, it was a long way to go to get to the conclusion of how, that like I say, it's the only time that a league championship has been won on a walk-off walk.
That's crazy. All right. Well, Outlighter fans, you got what you came for.
Yeah.
Well, until next time, find us on the internet at Doing Baseball. We're on Twitter and we're on TikTok and Instagram at Doing.Baseball. I'm at Sean Do Baseball on the Twitter thing, X thing.
And I'm at Ed's Do Baseball on the Twitter X thing.
Regardless of our social media, just whatever you do, however you found us, please and thank you. Give us a review, give us a listen, give us a rating, tell your friends, tell everybody. Baseball will be going away soon, but you can keep listening all winter. And until next time, I'm Sean.
And I'm Ed.
And we were bringing you the baseball history. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.